Today we are gonna explain about Russian Revolution. Russian Revolution started date at 1917 February, but at the Russian they call February Revolution because their calendar is February, but on the Gregorian date was 1917 March 8th. I will explain you that in Russian calendar was 7 days later than Gregorian day. So on the 1917, November 7th was October. On 1917, March 8th, the first revolution in 1917 was led by a group of guess it, what's that? Middle class. This middle class, they form a provisional government. But on 1917, November 7th was October Revolution. Who led that? Vladimir Lenin and Trotsky. I don't know his real name, but I know his family name. Trotsky. They led the Bolshevik. And who was communist? Who supported communist? Peasant and workers. Why the peasant they want to vote support communist socialists? Why? Because of peasants, they slave, they are not rich at all, so they got bullied very much more time. And peasants, they want land to farm, but the land were mostly handed by aristocrats. Actually, communists and socialists, they communists, they were like strict side, but they must be followed by democracy rule. Democracy means there is like socialists and communists, they were opposition, or like workers and peasant representative. They were like grouping together and a decision with democracy. But democracy at the time, they didn't listen to socialists and communists. So they uprise against democracy. Democracy was White Army and socialists and communists was Red Army. But by the way, where's Karl Marx's idea? Karl Marx's idea was the communists and socialists might be done in developed country, but the Vladimir Lenin and Leon Trotsky, they were like they were strict and they went to revolt when the country was not developed. Leon Trotsky was fine, but Vladimir Lenin, he was impatient. Mostly communists and socialists must done in developed countries. They can easily to change through communists and socialists. And Karl Marx, he wanted most of the developed country government may like have decision with communists and socialists. But Vladimir and Leon, they bring us the wrong action, so they got dropped out when in like before 21st century. In 20th century, the communist was the popular one, but before 21st century, the communist was totally banned. In the 1917, the day was November 7. After the day of November 7, White Army and Red Army, they fight together. White armies, they try to suppress Red Army, and Red Army, they try to revolt and overthrow the White Army. So they were fighting together. White Army were like save King's life. Red Army were kill King's life. So they were fighting together, and White Army, they couldn't prevent their king from being killed by Red Army. So they felt guilty, and now they will lose part in like Russia, so they got overthrown on the date of 1921. on the World War I. The Russia they drove out of World War I at March 3, 1918. So the treaty was signed between Germany and USSR or Russia was Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. After signing the treaty, the Russia they were like in civil war. The RSFSR and our provisional government they fight together, and Russian provisional government they got weaker and weaker, and alliance they try to save Russian provisional government, but they failed. So Russian Soviet Federation, a socialist republic, they could defeat the Russian provisional government because of the blockage of Turkey and Germany. So Russian provisional government they keep fighting against the Germany, but the people they just said no war now. You promised that you won't fight, but you still fighting. Why? So they support USSR or RSFSR. They fight against the RPG, which is called Russian Provisional Government Republic. They won, so they established the country name was USSR or Soviet Union. By the way, after World War I in 1918, most of the country got independent from Germany, Austria-Hungary. But USSR tried to take back Ukraine and Belarus. And luckily, Polish got free from Germany and they fought and seized western part of Ukraine and Belarus. So the Polish-Soviet War broke out on 1919 to 1920. Polish-Soviet War broke out on exact February 14, 1919 to March 18, 1920. At that time, Soviet Union and Polish Republic, they fight each other by pushing out of their country border.